It seems that the Democrats running for president and a whole host of other Democrats and liberals are becoming a lot more shrill when it comes to gun control. It seems that every one of the 106 Democrats running for the presidential nomination to be the Democrat that can face Donald Trump come the fall of 2020 want to go farther and farther left. They want to get as far left as they possibly can. And let me give you an example of Kamala Harris. She's running in the single digits. She's well behind Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and believe it or not, Mayor Pete of South Bend also running well ahead of her. And she was thought to be one of the big leaders. Now she says she doesn't need congressional approval to take drastic action and take guns away from Americans. Listen to this. It's bite number 10.
For anyone who sells more than 5 guns a year, they will be required to perform background checks on the people they sell them to. And this will be the most comprehensive background check policy that has ever been had in our country thus far.
Can that be done by executive order?
Yes. Yes, it can. I am also prepared to say and to direct the ATF to remove and take away the licenses of gun dealers who fail to follow the law. And Jake, 90% of the guns that are associated with crime have been sold by 5% of the gun dealers. We need to take their licenses away.
So you couple that with what we've heard from Cory Booker, which is 5-year licenses and a national gun registry. Kamala Harris says she'll take guns away from anybody who doesn't do a background check properly if they sell more than 5 guns. My next guest, Dr. John Lott, the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. You can find out more always at crimeresearch.org. Doctor, welcome back to the program. Good to have you here this morning. I mean, you hear this every single day. It seems that those on the campaign trail that want to be the Democrat nominee for president, they go farther and farther left to try to be they try to outdo their opponents, I guess.
Right. I mean, you look at the lists of gun control proposals from somebody like a Cory Booker or Kamala Harris, and it's hard to think of any type of regulation that's been talked about that they don't want to have. Everything from licensing gun owners to micro-stamping guns so that every bullet that they fire has a unique micro-stamp on them, things that aren't even practical yet, that people haven't even figured out how to do. And it's going to make it so that guns are going to become a lot more expensive. It's going to make it so that particularly poor minorities aren't going to be able to afford guns to be able to protect themselves. The very people who are most likely to be victims of violent crime are going to be the ones that are going to be stopped from buying guns. And they're going to ban a lot of different types of guns and take them away from people. I mean, I don't know how much more explicit, but I mean, you have everybody. I don't know anybody in the Democratic field who's pushed back against these types of proposed regulations at all.
No, in fact, Eric Swalwell, you just mentioned, he's a California congressman. He says they'll give a grace period for those that don't turn their guns in voluntarily, but then they will go take those guns by force. They'll go right in your home. I guess they'll kick the door in if Eric Swalwell was president and take the guns away from people that were otherwise law-abiding citizens. So, these are pretty frightening, draconian ideas of taking away people's constitutional rights.
I mean, the bizarre thing is you listen to a lot of these people like Swalwell or Booker or Harris, and it's not obvious to me that they even understand what the different types of gun regulations are or how they work, or that they understand the facts, assuming that they're honest brokers on these things. Kamala Harris.
Well, they're not honest brokers. They don't care.
No, I understand.
They don't care what the gun laws are. They just want to take them away because that's red meat to their base and to the reactionist liberals. They just want to have control over you and I and anybody else, obviously. Right. And you look what happened in Venezuela. They took the guns away just 6 years ago. How'd that work out?
Right. Well, I'm sure a lot of people in Venezuela wish that they still had their guns. I don't think we're close to Venezuela, fortunately, right now. But look, I mean, just Harris, when she was saying that 95% of the crime guns come from 5% of the dealers, she doesn't mention that 5% of the dealers sell about 95% of the guns. So, I mean, it's not like, you have a few, large types of dealers out there, Walmart, others that sell the vast majority of guns out there in the United States. So, but.
Well, I want to ask you real quickly before we run out of time here, though, because the Democrats will continue every day. We'll have more today and more tomorrow. radical ideas about how to disarm America and separate them from the constitutional rights, but in a practical application of keeping churches and synagogues safe, how do we do that if armed guards are not put into place, or if people are not allowed to carry concealed weapons in these places? How do we ever make them safer?
Yeah, I mean, here we have the irony that these people push for regulations that have nothing to do with these attacks. You know, within an hour of the school shooting last week, we had, presidential candidates calling for background checks on private transfers of guns. It wouldn't have stopped that attack, wouldn't have stopped one mass public shooting this century. Instead, what we know works is being able to have people quickly defend themselves. Anybody who's read the diaries or looked at other statements from these killers know that they may be crazy in some sense, but they're not stupid. They know that if they know they want to kill as many people as possible because that will get them more news attention. And they know if they go to a place where people can't defend themselves, they're going to be more successful. Having an armed guard, as you mentioned there, is an incredibly difficult job. If you have one person who's readily identifiable as the only person with a gun and the terrorists are going to attack, he's going to be the one person that they're going to kill first. The advantage of having concealed handguns is that you take away the strategic advantages that these killers have, because they don't know whether there's somebody behind them or to the side or in front is the person that they have to worry about most. I mean,
And that's exactly right. Somebody has to stop that from happening. And in fact, it takes me back to your book, More Guns, Less Crime. Dr. John Lott here, the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. You can find out more at crimeresearch.org. Doctor, I do want to hold you through the break here because we've got a couple of minutes after this. I wanted you to weigh in on something we were talking about before you came on today, and that is your take on the terrorists and everything that's going on. Of course, you're an expert when it comes to guns and gun control and so forth, but your expertise is much larger than that. Dr. John Lott here on a Tuesday. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Sit tight. We'll be right back.
Hey, John, this next segment we're going to have you on is 2.5 minutes long.
All right.